Hi, this is Drew Tignanelli. This is our October update. October 2020. Time is flying by, I tell you.
2021, here we come.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. We started on 2020. It's already October now. So anyway, markets have typical, in a historical fashion, September is the worst month of the year. And this September has been no exception to the rule. And it's funny that September not only is the worst statistical month of the year, but it's the worst statistical month of the year by far. I mean, there's not even a competition. If you look at it, I think it's the average, it's down 1%, where every other month is up, except for May, which is flat. So here's the nearest month is flat. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot, 1%, but this is over like 100 years or so.
And there's so many sayings out there and things that people, it's this time of year, so this happens in the market. There's no nonsense to it. This is the only one that tends to have just some historical backdrop, even though we don't have a reason why September is.
Yeah, and so, what does that mean? Does it mean that 25% of the time it's up and 75% of the time it's down? It's still not enough to make investment decisions on. It's just a statistical fact. And when you get these bad Septembers, you just, roll with them. And
hope for a good October.
Well, you normally get the quote-unquote Santa Claus rally, which starts in November and then tends to flow through into January and February of next year. So we'll see. It really doesn't matter. The key is that you have a diversified portfolio. The key is that you have a portfolio that meets the volatility you're willing to accept. The key is that you're invested. You're invested in many different facets of the market. Because you remember, when I'm saying September has a bad history, that's the everything. U.S. stock market. It's the large cap stocks U.S.
Right.
That doesn't mean the international markets follow that. Doesn't mean the small caps don't follow that. Doesn't mean that value follows and so forth. So, it's just, you got to have a portfolio that meets your goals and objectives. That's the key. Not trying to predict which way it's going to go. And there's still a lot of people out there worried about the election, no matter how much we tell them that statistically there's no correlation. If the market goes down in September, people are going to say it's, because of the coming election. It's because of this or that. And they're getting this from the media, and the media makes mistakes is trying to predict why the market... why the market goes up and down every day?
Buying and selling?
More people buying and then selling, or more people selling than buying. That's it, period.
Right.
The market's a weighing machine over a long
So
term.
speaking about the economy, just briefly, one of the things that I thought was pertinent to bring up, in case you're not hearing it in some other news sources, that unemployment has continued to fall. We're down to 8.4%. 8.4 takes us back to like 2010 type territory as far as the recovery out of the 2008 downturn. But one of the things that people miss a lot when they hear unemployment numbers is think 8.4 and think, wow, it's so high. Well, unemployment isn't supposed to be zero. When you have 0% unemployment numbers, then you have very little mobility. And that's actually something we were experiencing heading into 2019, is that the unemployment market was so thin that it was harder and harder to find people for jobs. So, around 5% and below 5% is, I think, where they target it.
It's usually a very good sign that the economy is very healthy when you're below 5%. And I think that you're seeing the economy continuing to come back, and there's a lot of naysayers out there. But I don't see anything that tells me the world's coming to an end in any way, shape, or form. The banks are strong. The Federal Reserve's on the side of expansion of the economy, and it's, it is what it is. And,
Right.
And both candidates, you can make arguments. Neither candidate is got policies that are overtly negative to the economy.
So keeping things going and talking about percentages, interest rates are really low. And the Federal Reserve we're shooting this in the end of September, last week decided to keep interest rates low. What's one of the things that we're seeing a lot, not only with our clients, but also with our employees here?
Refinancing. Yes, you did. So I can't right now because I'm trying to sell my house. Doesn't make any sense to refinance when you're selling.
But this is an important time. If the refinance thing is not a sure thing every time, it's different for each situation. Right now, with interest rates being as low as they are, there's going to be a lot of people that should be thinking about a refinance right now. But another thing is to not just jump in on another 30 years. 30 years is not the only option. Now, it may be the option you want to take, especially with rates being so low. But it's important to just try to keep a mindfulness about the paying off that home debt at some point in the future.
Well, and you got this new disruption going on, Mike, where we almost always referred mortgage brokers into our clients because they were always really close to the bottom if they weren't the bottom.
Well, and we were looking for mortgage brokers that did great service and had a tendency to get great rates.
Got our clients the job done. But, this online mortgage companies are unbelievably customer service oriented, very efficient, and ridiculously low cost, both in the rates and the fees.
Yeah, a lot of fees they take away. They don't have them. I just did one with an online loan company. Locked my rate on the 25th and closed on the 18th of the next month. So fast, efficient.
Very low fee. And you gave me the best part of all was person comes to your door and does the settlement. You didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to tell, I have to tell Bev, come on, you got to get down to, wherever and settle.
If you have kids, you got to find something to do with them now. Right. She showed up at our door with her mask on and, sat down at the dining room table and we got through it. And she said, you got 3 days to read this stuff in case you want to take back anything.
Yeah, I mean, this online refinancing is a great opportunity. And you should talk to your advisor here at the consulate before you go into that. Don't just jump out there. So find out the ones that seem to be the best customer service oriented and make sure that you do the proper analysis to determine what type of refinancing should you do. Because there are too many people that drop down to the 15-year refinancing thinking that that's a good thing because I'm going to retire in 12 years, so I want this mortgage to be paid off or close to paid off. Well, maybe they should be saving more in their 401k and paying less toward their mortgage. Maybe they should refinance for 30 years and accumulate a lot more money in their 401k. I don't know.
What's your saying? What do the banks like and not like?
Well, they tend to appreciate somebody with a 30-year loan paying it off in 15, but they don't take kindly to the 15-year mortgages being paid off in 30 years.
No, they don't like that.
But you get that reduction in cash flow, and you start stuffing it into tax preference retirement accounts, and it could be a bonanza for you.
Yeah.
And you need an advisor to think that over with you and make sure that you're making the wisest decision possible. So, just make sure you think it out. Don't assume that you know what is the way to go.
So this is the October video. What are a lot of our non-retired?
This is like a quiz to me this time.
I'm just teeing it up for you. Every once in a while I look for a quizzical look in case I teed it up not well enough.
When you were asking me the last one, I'm thinking, I hope I get this right, whatever it is. But
so October, our non-retiree clients and watchers. What
employee benefits season, where you make your choices for medical insurance and group life insurance and all those things that you have to choose from your employer. And, the biggest one we find the mistake is made is the health insurance, not going with a high deductible plan because psychologically it feels good to have a low deductible.
Right, that you're paying for.
The insurance company isn't benevolent. They're not sitting there saying, oh, man, we want to give you the lowest rate we can for this,
Right.
You want the high deductible. You want to pay, not always. There's plenty of situations we could find where we want the lower deductible. But if you can do the math and say, gosh, my risk is this, but I'm saving X and our family's generally healthy, I'd rather take the statistical odds of stuffing that money in an HSA.
Absolutely. And, for a lot of our clients, if you're in a higher income bracket, you're in a higher tax bracket, if you're going to use the HSA money for medical expenses, coming out of 2020, the HSA has gotten better than ever because they have just continued to pound things in there that you're allowed to spend tax-free money with.
This year, aspirin and NyQuil and all kinds of over-the-counter
All kinds
drugs.
of over-the-counter stuff.
I mean, if you could do it tax-free, that's the way to do it. And,
Yeah.
And the HSA, Mike, it's key that you do your HSA contribution through your employer deduction plan. That way you get the FICA tax-free as well as the federal and state income tax-free.
Right.
If you do it as a lump sum later in the year, you're not going to get the FICA tax deduction. Whereas if it comes out payroll deduction, you get state deduction, federal deduction, Social Security deduction, and Medicare. Now, Social Security only if your income, if your wages are under $140,000, let's call it. So it's really the way to go.
Two other quick things, and always clients should be reaching out to their advisor when it comes benefits season if they want to make any changes. But two other items. One is the Roth 401k. If your employer plan has the Roth feature, the Roth 401k, just like the HSA, just keeps getting better and better when you look at tax rates. And when you consider especially your contributions for next year, where we think, large possibility taxes are probably going up regardless of which political party has power, that Roth 401k is really a strong option.
The Roth is strictly a matter of what tax bracket are you in the year you put the money in, what tax bracket do you think you'll be in the year you take it out. And I agree with you. I don't care who gets in office, there's a lot of chance that you're going to have higher tax rates in the future if our government continues to borrow and spend money at the rate that they borrow and spend at. And that's going to bring us in the November video. We're going to be talking about some serious issues that a lot of people have to think about for 2020, that if you get a political wind shift, you're getting a possibility that you could have a much lower estate tax exemption, you could have higher income taxes, and so forth, and making a lot of people start thinking about Roth conversions and gifting of assets.
We're going to be busy.
We're going to be busy, but we'll talk more about that in the November video.
So the last item on employee benefits, just as you're thinking about that this season, group life and some of the other insurance options. Group life is the best deal ever for the smallest number of people and the worst deal for most of the people who sign up for it. So group life, you're basing this risk pool off of everybody that signs up for it. And if you're a healthy individual, getting your own term policy or other type of policy outside of the employer environment that you can take with you, no matter whether you're at that employer or another, and based on your own health.
It's your private policy.
But if you smoke,
yeah,
and
or you're unhealthy, you got chronic illnesses and so forth, then group life could be a great
thing for you.
I wrote an article about this. It's in the Consulate Journal. It's called "Group Life is Killing You," and it's about that whole thing. That if you're healthy, you should have your own private insurance. You can lock the premium for longer periods of time and so forth. So it's definitely not something to for the average healthy person and family to be buying and thinking about.
Sure. And lastly, on group benefits, just be very cautious of those extra insurance policy add-ons, cancer insurance.
Oh, don't get me started on Aflac.
Yeah.
Awful.
As you can see from his reaction, the problem is most of those that we've ever seen have never been reasonable, risk management tools.
They're not risk management
more of a
tools.
gambling
makes
instrument.
It's a morbid form of gambling, and
Yeah.
and for the guy that collected on it, he thinks it's the greatest thing ever. But it's not.
But the house most of the time won.
Yeah. Aflac knows what they're doing. They know how to play into the fears of people, and they make a lot of money selling into the fears of people and not providing true risk management tools. Anyway, I don't want to get started on Aflac, so anyway, let's wrap this up. Let me get serious.
Sounds
now.
good.
This is Drew Tignanelli saying God bless.